So many things that I had on the agenda, but this developing constitutional crisis right now between the legislative and the executive branch of governments in this country is just, it's just too amazing to ignore. So I have to go there. George Zornick, writing at thenation.com, has put together a pretty in-depth oversight and analysis of what this is about. For me, today, it was, Kathy coming home and saying, hey, I was listening to MSNBC on the radio, and Dianne Feinstein is accusing the Central Intelligence Agency of spying on congressional staffers. Well, what do you expect? Why is this a surprise? The Bush administration, most directly, and the Obama administration in a follow-up way, because remember what Obama said, we're going to look forward, not backward. Okay. These two administrations, primarily Bush, let's be real, and not even Bush, he's too much of a dumbass, but Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney is the gift that keeps on giving. When this son of a bitch is dead a century, the things that he did to this country will continue to wreak havoc globally, but certainly on the United States. Dick Cheney truly is a monster, truly is someone who is out to, if he can, single-handedly destroy the United States. Now, the political system in this country, as we've talked about for years, is so corrupt that it probably needs creative destruction. It probably needs that. But to have it happen like this, to have it happen as a result of the United States deciding to adopt as its official foreign policy torture. Oh, for Christ's sake. Who'd have thunk it, right? Who would have supposed? Those old racist imperialists that put this country together 230 years ago. What if we could jerk their moldy remains up out of the ground and say, hey, George, hey, Ben, hey, Thomas, guess what? That country you put together based on genocide and slavery, it's come to fruition, boys. We are now not only a national security state, but the two branches of government. And I mean, the third branch has been gone since December 12th, 2000. That went into the sewer on that day. But the other two branches now at each other's throats. This is like, I don't know, like what? Kathy said it's a little bit like 7 Days in May, only it's not about a military, an attempted military coup. This national security state that we live in now is a government, a reality all of its own. Remember how much time Dick Cheney spent at CIA headquarters in Langley? Do you remember how Cheney and the rest of the fascists that surrounded him had stated over and over again, we create our own reality, and you dumbasses, although they didn't use the term dumbasses, will spend all your time trying to catch up to us. Remember that? This is the reality they created. This is it. Now, it is not a surprise given the progression of the CIA since it was first put together. The history of the CIA is a history of blood, gore, destruction, death, war, governments overthrown, a complete usurpation of power as it was laid out in the Constitution. This is not new. Do you know what's new about this? What's new about this is that now it's starting to bubble up to the surface. Who is responsible for these revelations? Well, of course, Ed Snowden. Ed Snowden, who the political and corporate and religious establishment in this country want to label as a traitor. When in fact, if Snowden is anything, he's a liberator. He is the Jose Marti of the United States. He is, who else? I don't want to say George Washington, you know, because George Washington was a slaver. He was the Che Guevara of the United States, Ed Snowden. Now, you say that to to a lot of right-wingers, they go, oh, all the more reason he should be tried and hanged. You're so stupid, you right-winger devils, you really are. I got to quote some stuff here from Zornick, what he wrote. He calls it a gripping battle between the CIA and the Senate Intelligence Committee. And, of course, it broke into public view today, this morning, as Feinstein openly accused the CIA of spying on congressional staffers as they investigated the CIA's illegal detention and torture programs that were put together by Dick Cheney under that half-witted, quarter-witted George W. Bush. Feinstein's allegations, George writes, raised grave questions about how the executive branch, Obama, interprets constitutional separation of powers. Now, you can immediately make the argument, oh, Mike, this is not Obama. These are agencies within the executive branch, but it's not Obama. And you may be right, but I'm not about to cop a surrogate plea for Barack Obama. I mean, we did that for Reagan. Reagan was just a dumbass figurehead. A lot of people did it for Bush. Bush was just a dumber ass figurehead. Obama is not a dumbass. Is he responsible for this? Well, who's the head of the executive branch? He is. Now, to what extent does the executive branch from the White House, from the Oval Office, still determine the policies of the executive branch? That's the question. And I think that's what Feinstein is raising in her sweaty panic. You know, as the chairperson of the Senate Intelligence Committee, to all of a sudden, more or less, discover that the investigation the legislative branch was conducting against certain aspects of the executive branch, to suddenly find out that the investigators were being investigated. I mean, what the hell is this? The Kremlin in the 50s? Yes! But for Feinstein to just suddenly come out of the fog and say, oh, wait a minute. Shame on you, Dianne Feinstein. Shame on every single congressman, every member of Congress, every single senator, even these stinking, filthy right-wingers. I mean, shame on you people. The right-wingers want to destroy our system, and it probably needs destruction. At least they think it does. The Democrats are damn near as bad. Now, Feinstein is furious, if you want to believe the drama, that the investigators from the Senate were being tapped and monitored by NSA, CIA, who the hell knows? Where was her outrage? I mean, really? When Snowden's revelations were made, what was her reaction to Snowden? He's a traitor! Didn't she use that term? I don't know, did she? He needs to be held to account. Really, Dianne? What about now? More on this when we come back. This just absolutely, you know, in a week, 10-day period where I've had my mind blown a couple of times, this is the what's the highest point in an orbit? Huh? The apogee and the perigee. I don't know. This is the apogee. We'll be right back. What Feinstein's allegations are raising here are concerns. Serious concerns about the integrity of congressional oversight of U.S. intelligence agencies. Now, my comment on that is, you've got to be kidding me. There hasn't been oversight of the sort necessary when you make the turn from running an open democracy into running a country that has become a national security state, A, and B, is controlled and run by the corporatocracy. Or the, as they call them in Russia, the oligarchs. So that's where we are. And as far as the integrity of congressional oversight of U.S. intelligence agencies, there's no congressional oversight of anything. Tell me something. Tell me something that there is effective congressional oversight. There isn't, and there hasn't been. For how long? Lurking in the background, George writes, is this country's dirty history of torture following the September 11 attacks in Lower Manhattan. And that torture and the absolute abrogation of any kind of presumption of innocence that this country supposedly operates from, all of that was washed down the toilet by Dick Cheney. That's gone. And you want to know something? As long as this system's in place, it's in place now, it's not coming back. So, this country's dirty history of torture, which top officials, including those appointed by the sainted Barack Obama, that the Democrats, and especially the Democrats, I guess that's what they are, on MSNBC and a couple other places, just can't stop worshiping. Obama, too. We're going to look forward, not backward. Really. So you allow unindicted war criminals to continue to have massive influence on the total further corruption of what remains of the political system in this country. Jesus, God. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's a good idea. So these top officials from the Obama administration and the Bush administration seem determined to do one thing: brush all of this away. It's fairy dust. Just blow it away. None of this happened. Don't worry about it. We're here to protect you. We're here to keep you from terrorists. Oh, did you hear about the jetliner that disappeared over in the Far East? Oh my God, 230 people on board. It's a Boeing 777. In a lengthy speech on the floor of the Senate today that you can find online, and you should listen to it, Feinstein explained how the Senate Intelligence Committee, which she chairs, has come to believe that the CIA infiltrated Senate computers in order to see what Senate investigators had learned about the Bush-era torture programs. Feinstein also talked about the removal of crucial documents from those computers by the CIA. So I'm a son of a bitch. Look at this now, okay? You have the CIA allegedly stealing information from Senate computers. The countercharge from the CIA, which Feinstein says, more or less says, it's an act of terror, what the CIA is saying now. The CIA in turn says, the Senate did it to them. Kind of, neener. No, you did it. No, you did it. Oh, you did it. Oh, your mama smells. Well, your mama's a bitch. Well, your mama wears combat. That's what this is getting to, right? An institution that ceased to function as an institution a number of years ago, that would be the U.S. Congress. And another institution of U.S. self-governance, the executive branch, that has turned into, I don't know what, when the executive branch, as it did under Bush and Cheney, can lead this country to believe that it's okay to invade and occupy another country and murder, literally murder, hundreds of thousands of people in violation of the very rules that we laid down and insisted on and hanged people for violating in Nuremberg. When you get your country to that point, your country is gone. Now, you know this, goddammit. You know this. You know this. You know that the institutions of this government are gone and they are not coming back. Now, who are you going to vote for in November?